Well, this is going to be interesting. It's not every day Anonymous themselves makes a video about me, or at least a seemingly anonymous affiliated YouTube channel. More on that later. So I woke up December 25th, Christmas Day, to find people spamming this video at me. I saw the title and I was like, damn, finally, some excitement in my life. So what warranted a 7-minute and 2-second video response to me? Well, a while back I made a video discussing what happened to Anonymous. Back in 2011, 2012, Anonymous was pretty big in the news, what with all the WikiLeaks stuff going on, so we were constantly hearing about their operations. But since then, or at least the past 5 years or so, we haven't really heard much about them at all, so that's what my video was about. Now, there were a few key reasons I discussed for Anonymous seemingly going dark. One being that a lot of Anons simply moved on to other things. They grew up, they had kids, got mortgages, white picket fence kind of a thing. Another reason being that after one of the main LulzSec members ratted out a bunch of his quote-unquote mates, many others might have gone dark for fear of being outed themselves. And the last reason was that the US election back in 2016 may have divided the collective just as well as it did the rest of America. There was a bunch of infighting and things just eventually kind of fell apart. So those were some of my theories which prompted this response from Anonymous. Okay, so I should be clear, this channel doesn't represent the entirety of Anonymous. Obviously, that's impossible. It's a decentralized collective after all. However, I also have no idea if this channel even represents any subset within Anonymous. There's simply no way to know. The channel links to a Facebook group with a decent amount of likes. They also seem to be big on spicy memes. The channel seems to cover a wide array of content with varying styles of production, so it may be being shared by a bunch of people. But anyway, for the rest of this video, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that this channel does represent some part of Anonymous. It's more interesting that way, at least.
Mr. Satonic. Greetings and namaste. We are Anonymous. 3 months ago on September 11th you uploaded this video to your channel posing the question of where the Anonymous idea has gone. You remark how the news networks once loved the intrigue of Anonymous, but oh, I must correct you, we've always been blacklisted by the media who rarely credit us for the good we do, but rather only publicized demonizing headlines attempting to smear our reputations.
So I think this is somewhat true, however I reckon this was way more true back in the days when Anonymous was mainly associated with trolling, as evidenced by the footage they just used, which is pretty old. If you do a Google News search for Anonymous, but restrict the dates to late 2015 to early 2016, when Op ISIS was a thing, for the most part the headlines are pretty factual, and if you read the articles they're usually pretty objective for the most part. Though of course, if you whistle the results down even more and look for headlines specifically from Fox News, for example, they tend to overlook any good Anonymous does, but instead focus on over-reporting the negatives.
Though intermittently we did make the honor of 2012's most influential people.
Okay, so maybe I'm nitpicking here, but I just felt the need to fact check this. Anonymous did make Time's most influential people's list in 2012, and to be honest, I'm kind of surprised they weren't on it for more years. I feel like they deserve more than just a footnote. But anyway, this Time magazine cover is actually fake. The image does seem to be doing the rounds on the internet, so I reckon it's a fair mistake, though I did feel the need to point it out. 2012's most influential person was awarded to Obama.
And were applauded for Operation Icarus and the Steubenville rape exposure. But even then the anonymous hacker responsible for exposing the rape was tried and convicted more jail time than the rapist.
Now sadly, this is true. The Anon who exposed this case was actually sent to prison for 2 years, which was more than one of the rapists. Now, this is obviously terrible. The idea that someone on hacking charges could get anywhere close to the jail time of a rapist is just insane.
That was our brother Derek Lose Tutter, who is now released but on strict supervision. Which brings me right back to the answer to your question. Many of the core hackers you were following back in 2012 have been arrested one by one. And since then, many more have been taken down. We may have lost some key players, but this does not mean we lost all of our good men. And while true, Sabu also caused many Anons to withdraw from the collective that year, with fears that Hector would rat them out. But nevertheless, this has never stopped us. Following Sabu's arrest, 2013 was still a very aggressive year for Anonymous and onward. To address some of your theories, yes, many of us have gotten older and had children, have gotten married, and made new lives for ourselves. But, those few I have mentioned still make time for us on their off days in Operation Death Eaters, as well as anonymous pedo hunters.
Okay, so this is pretty positive. If pedo hunting becomes something Anonymous can gravitate towards, then I reckon that's a good exercise to help rebuild the movement. While Anons may disagree on politics, I would think outing pedos is something all Anons are going to be pretty happy with.
They may have gained more responsibilities in their life, but they have not forgotten their responsibility to finish what we have started. For if we fail, then it is their own children who will be enslaved, and they know this. So it keeps them glued to the cause. Another worthwhile mention is that a lot of Anons have gone completely off-grid and are building solar homes with gravity-fed well pump generators. They're preparing for the worst of our total complete failure, as you should too, because time is running out. Some of our best Anons are just about finished with their off-grid fortresses. This is a big reason for why Anonymous as a collective has slowed down. We're preparing for total collapse, and many do not want to risk wasting time anymore.
I'm not sure I buy this to any great extent. Whilst sure some Anons may be preppers, I really don't think a significant part of the movement has dropped off. Purely because they've gone to live off-grid, I just don't see any evidence for that.
But regardless, the remaining Anonymous have not left or gone anywhere. Satonic. A lot of them run our social media sites. We have admins working under this channel who worked with original LulzSec members and still keep in touch with Jeremy Hammond's mother. We have admins who still hack and deface government websites. We work very closely and still have good relations with the Binary Watcher, Anonymous Troll Hunters, Hunter Unit and Anonymous Victoria. We all may branch away, but we eventually come back together, because together is where we are most powerful. But it's become increasingly difficult to stay together with all of the infighting. Launching cyber attacks in the post-net neutrality repeal era presents a challenge. Now many Anons who aren't hackers are losing their anonymity with the enforcement of mandatory two-factor authentication security on all major social media platforms.
Okay, so this is an interesting point, and to be honest, I've never really thought about two-factor authentication in relation to privacy, but it seems so obvious. Obviously, by handing over your phone number, you are in effect leaving a pretty solid paper trail right back to you. Food for thought.
Knowing the stakes, so they give up risking being watched and caught, and spend their time where it's most valued. Another smaller reason for the decline of Anonymous is that we lost many of our street activists due to their tragic deaths. You see, it's been a process. Between censorship from major media platforms thwarting our view reach, to the loss of life with...
Okay, so I felt the need to do some research here in relation to these deaths, and just so people are informed, the deaths themselves don't seem to be related to any anonymous operations, but are all tragic in their own right. Now, I just felt the need to point that out so we don't get any conspiracy theories in the comments as to how these people died.
Time, Anonymous has been leaping over hurdles. And this has deeply hurt all of us. So Mr. Satonic, we'd like to take this opportunity to redirect your misguided idea of where to find new anonymous content. Please do not rely on mainstream websites like Wikipedia, Fox News, CNN, or even your Anon News on Twitter. We do not report to any of these sources.
So this is a fair point, though the reason I had to default to mainly using mainstream media when I did the research for my previous video is that Anonymous, by its very nature, is pretty difficult to investigate, given the whole decentralized thing. Though if I remember correctly, I only really used mainstream media articles to act as reference points, and a good number of the mainstream sources I used were actually interviews with Anons, which is the closest I was ever going to get to any semblance of first-hand reputable accounts.
Although your Anon News has been very loyal to the Anonymous creed, they are not our central mouth or source for anonymous operations. Neither is any website claiming to be our headquarters or officials of the Anonymous idea. Anonymous is a darknet hacking organization. As you know, hacking is a Class B felony. So you won't find any of our plans or contacts with a simple search engine. To follow us, you have to be directly involved with us. We have no headquarters or news networks, so understandably we won't publicly give a contact here on this video, to keep our low profile. But if you're interested in getting involved with us, then send us an inbox at the social media link on our channel, and there we can direct you to an encrypted chat. We're seriously interested in working with you to help revive the public eye on our work. As it is apparent anything related to us is heavily censored on Facebook and YouTube, we can tell you from experience that they really want us to disappear. But we will not. The future generations deserve to know who we were and what we were fighting for to give to them. 2020 will be a year of renewal. Thank you for remaining a believer. We're looking forward to connecting with you, Satonic. I'm glad we could finally make an acquaintance. We are anonymous. We are legion. We can forgive. But we shall never forget. Satonic. Keep expecting resilience from the collective.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. I was a little surprised by the invitation there. I definitely wasn't expecting that. And, you know, I might shoot them a message out of curiosity, but guys, I have a pretty stressful life as it is. I'm not sure if I want the FBI on my ass 24/7 as well, but hey, who knows? Though let's be real, Anonymous has done a lot of good and should be well applauded for that. But before I leave you, I need to explain why this little thing is the best thing since sliced bread, I don't know. Anyway, this is Malduino. He's a bad USB. The idea being you write scripts that go on his micro SD card, then when you plug him in, he'll type out those scripts at lightning speed, like a super fast automatic keyboard. The point? Well, it's not too difficult to write a script that opens up a command prompt, and then the computer is your oyster. He's powered by Arduino, so truly hackable. Check out the link in the description to my own site, maltronics.com, where you can learn more. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. This was a video I didn't think I'd ever make, but there you go. If you're interested in behind the scenes content, make sure to follow me on Instagram and the Twitters, but mainly Instagram. I use that quite frequently. And as always, stay tuned for more hacking videos. Have a good one.